Hello everyone, welcome to this video series on JavaScript. In this video, we are going to see validating email ID input field using JavaScript. Okay. So what will be the learning outcome in this particular video? Student will be able to write a JavaScript code for validating email ID input field for an input field. Okay. So we will take an example of HTML and JavaScript through which we will learn how to validate email ID field. Okay, there are a lot of validations that can be done in JavaScript, but we will go one by one in this video series. This is one of the popular validation technique where we validate email ID field. Okay, before that, let us see a glimpse about form validation. In form validation, we know that there is something called a script. In script, we usually write the function. Okay, here the function is check. It is going to just check what the get element ID. It is using a method called as get element by ID. Here we are passing f name. So what I am trying to tell in this particular slide is that form action, there is some action associated over here. Okay, on submit it is going to call this particular method called as check. The check method will get called from here. Okay, the method type is post. Okay, there are two types of method passing techniques. One is called as get, another is called as post. Okay, here there are two things. One is text and another is submit button. Okay, when I click on a submit button, it should call this particular function called as check, and check will get called, and some action associated with it will be taken place. Okay, so here it is taking a first name. That's it. Okay, let us try to run this particular program. Okay, for this, what I will do, I'll take a notepad and put your code over here. Okay, the script part. So usually, as I said in the previous videos, like script part will come under head tag. That's the usual practice people follow, and so head will get closed over here, and after that this body section will come. So form, we are going to put it inside body section, and once this is over, we'll have an HTML end of HTML. Okay, so this is how it will function. I'll save it on let's say desktop. I'll save it as demo.html. Make this as all files. This is fine. Okay, now come to desktop and try to find that file. Okay, demo.html. When you run it, this particular two things will come as my format is designed for text field and button. Okay, so when I type something over here and click on submit, it is doing some action. Action is associated here. I have written nothing, so therefore it is giving me this error. Nothing is getting passed over, and if you see at the URL, it is calling some C file, C action page.php, because I am writing action page.php over here, which is not there. Okay, that's not important over here. What you people have to understand over here is this method post and get. As I said, if I change it to get, let us see what will happen. If I change it to get, if I come back and try to compile it once again, okay, I need to go back. So this is the form. Click on submit. Now the difference from the previous execution and this execution is that here first name is getting passed. Since we are using get method, in get every time whatever data you put it in text fields will be passed as a URL. So here you can clearly see that whatever I have typed in text box is getting passed as a URL. In previous case, when it was post, there was nothing getting posted over here. That nothing was getting passed from URL. Okay, that's the difference. If see, this is important because when people type passwords, okay, and if you use get method, then password will be visible in the URL. Okay, so usually when you have passwords and protected things, we use post method instead of get. Okay, so coming back, this is what form validation in case of text fields, we use get and post method. Try to understand the difference between get and post method. After this, now for validation especially in JavaScript, we use something called as regular expressions. Now regular expressions are the signature of your input fields, okay, how your input field should look like. It should have a character, it should have a digit, how many digits it should have, that all things we can specify using regular expression. Like mobile number should be 10 digits, email id should be so and so signature, it should have an at, it should have a dot. So all such requirements can be obtained using regular expressions. Now here in this case, if you see variable regex, okay, this is a regular expression. Now here regular expression I am saying that it should have digit, d is nothing but digits over here. So digits 2, so it should have two digits. So my regular expression will have 2 digits. If I want to check it, and if you come over here, this is what variable string 1. Is it valid 29? It's a 2-digit number? Yeah. So when I check regex for this particular field using this regex expression, then it will be true. Whereas if I type something other than this, okay, let's say I have typed 3G8. So this is a three character number, and also it is having some additional letter. It is not only digit. So in this case, if I check with regex, it will be false. So this is how regular expressions are written for the requirements to be fulfilled on a form. Okay. So we'll see more examples on this. No issues of it. So regular expression uses a patterns of modifiers. As I said here, it is using slash, d, dollar. This is a termination of this particular regular expression. Likewise, so it usually uses at over here, indicating the beginning of a string. And similarly, dollar indicates the end of a string. So all your regular expression will be in between at and dollar. Some more regular expressions. If I talk about regular expressions for pin code, it will look something like this. So usually we know that pin code in India, usually it is a 6-letter numbers. So digit 6 letters should be enough to validate a pin code. Similarly, for checking a name, so name can be any character. It can be small case or a capital case. So therefore, small case or capital case can be A to Z or capital A to Z. Either of this is there, then there is a plus. Plus means one or more instances. So one or more instances of this particular characters is repeating, then we call it as a name. So that's a regular expression to specify any particular name. Likewise, this is important for email ID. How email ID will look like. So we know that email ID usually begins with a set of characters and digits. So set of characters and digit followed by there will be an at. So let's say rajmalhotra@gmail.com. Usually this is a valid email ID. Okay. So rajmalhotra@gmail.com. So when I can say it's a valid email ID, it should have at, it should have a dot after at, it should have some characters after at. After at there can be only this types of characters. So it usually it is saying A to Z, capital A to Z. After that a dot is there. And after a dot there is a .com. We know that. So certain kind of email ID validations that we can do. So here what is compulsory? It should have a set of characters, set of digits at start as a prefix I can say. After that it should be followed by a at, and after some number of characters and digits it should have a dot, and after that again some characters and digits. Okay, this is how it will look like. This regular expression is for email ID validation. So here you can read it. So lowercase, uppercase characters are allowed. It may have periods, underscores, and hyphens. So that what we have specified here. Hyphen is there, dots are there, periods are there, and so on. Okay. So based on this, you can recall what will be the regular expression for mobile number. You can pause over here and check the answer for it. Okay, you can think of it how mobile number expression, regular expression would look like. A valid mobile number. Okay, it will be something like this. So here I have considered those plus 2 digits as well, plus 91. Usually in India we have mobile numbers starting with plus 91. Okay, so this plus 91, so 2 digits for it, it should start with a plus, 2 digits for this prefix 91. After that we have 10-digit number. So D10 indicates a 10-digit number, or you can directly write D10 also if you don't want this plus 91 as a additional thing. Okay, you can directly use it. Both are valid. Now just check this function. Here we are trying to validate the email ID. Okay, for that we have written a script over here. The script says that if this email ID is there, if it is following this particular pattern as I explained, then we say it's a valid email ID. And if it doesn't follow this particular pattern, then we say it is not a valid email ID. Okay, this is what this function will talk about. Similarly, we have designed one form, and in this form we have text and text field and submit button. So user is expected to type email ID, and we will be checking whether it is valid or not. For that, we have we are calling this particular method validate email ID on click. So that particular thing will be called, and here we are checking if input text is matching that pattern, then we say it is valid. If it is not matching that pattern, we say it is invalid. Okay, so let us try to do this. Let me copy this section and put add over here in my demo.html. Add section will come over here, and this particular body section will come inside form. Okay, so this complete body section I'll remove and I'll try to put over here. Okay, so you can execute it and you can check the output for this particular thing. Fine. Likewise, you can compile it and check. Okay, these are some of the references that I have used. Thank you.